Why, thank you, Danton. For those of you who do not know, Danton said that this was a great stream so far, and I do agree. Very informative as well. Apparently, Piers Morgan is now talking about Tate's lawyer. But he's also talking about Jake Paul, so because he's live, I don't know what topic he's at. I don't want to stream snipe Piers Morgan. I would steal all of his views. Need to be careful with that. Might get a copyright strike. So anyway, I did got a couple of criticisms from users regarding my last stream. I will go over them. There is problems with Fizer. Fizer, apparently someone managed to get one of their employees talking on a hidden camera. YouTube is purging the website in order to remove the harmful medical disinformation. Also probably protecting Fizer's reputation. And no, I did not get cancelled yet. I mean, I have plenty of time to still get cancelled. What am I doing? I'm doing a hentai game. See, that's when I will get cancelled. I'm really curious, like when I finally announce it, if I'm going to get into trouble for it. They're going to be like, oh my god, he's a political commentator, political agitator. He agitates people. We don't like people agitate. So we'll see. Yeah, Fizer employees, very colorful people. I do agree. Man, like, how do they keep getting them? I genuinely, like, do not know. Like, if you work at a company and you do some things that you know have bad optics to the public, why would you talk about them? Just shut up. That's what I would do. You know? But whatever. Romania, 99% Christian nation. Tate is a Muslim. So this was actually a conversation that I heard. I believe it was Tate's brother, which said, why is it that Muslims send him a lot of support, but not Christians? And the answer is very simple. Christians do not appreciate if you talk with 16-year-old girls on the internet, giving them strawberries. Right now, doesn't mean that they're going to come after you, but at the same time, they don't appreciate that very much. Right? Like, if you come to Romania and you're over the age of 30 and you're giving strawberries to Romanian daughters, a lot of Christians don't find that to be very Christian-like. So that is one of the reasons. And then it's also the fact that different religion, right? And why would you expect the Christians to... Can happen. I'm not saying it cannot, but... sex is wrong. Oh, sex work. See, this is something that I disagree with. Like when you're talking about cam girls, right? So we're talking about OnlyFans. We're talking about Twitch streamers. What is the sex? Can anyone tell me? Because it's called sex work, right? So where is the work? Where is the sex? I'm pretty sure it is somewhere, but like I don't see it. Like a woman taking naked pictures of herself. I do not see where the sex is. So this is why I don't like every single time. It's not a cam W word that I can't say here because of the YouTube algorithm. It's not a cam W. It's a sex worker. Ah, I see. So where's the sex? Anyway, I still don't understand how everyone is conspiring to protect the Fizer. Oh, it's almost like they're getting paid. You know, like Fizer is this poor company that thrives only on morals and goodwill. What's interesting is before the pandemic, almost everyone said that the pharmaceutical companies are not nice people. Especially people on the left, right? Like people on the right, more capitalistic, they would be like, oh, whatever. But there were many people on the left that were like, come on, you know, it's big pharma. That's how they call it, big pharma. Big pharma, evil, bad. Now, the moment you talk anything negative about Fizer, people get upset. It is not sex, but still degenerate. Yeah, but you know, life without degeneracy, is it really worth living? Is a life without degeneracy really worth it? You need to have a little bit. You know, a person that has no degeneracy is a boring person. Give me an example of a person that has absolutely no degeneracy, and I will show you someone that bores the living shit out of me. Now, of course, just because I'm opening the door to degeneracy doesn't mean that a complete degenerate is also acceptable. No. You need to strike a little bit of balance. You know, like 10% degenerate. Let's put like 10% degeneracy should be acceptable. There is a word in Romania, well, actually a saying. We accept a little bit of dirt. Right? Like a little bit of dirt is acceptable. So the question is how much? It is wisdom, right? Like, do not set standards that you yourself cannot uphold to, because there is no person in the world that's not a degenerate. So you need to set like a level, you know, like, okay, this is acceptable degeneracy. Like, for example, there is this gentleman on Twitch who apparently masturbated himself to a deep fake of Pokimane. Serious accusation. The chat managed to catch him because there was a tab on his browser list, and apparently none of the people in the chat have watched the deepfake, but they recognize the tab. Interesting how that works, right? Like, if you don't go on a website ever, how would you recognize what it is? Well, apparently the internet recognized. And then he had an apology where he cried to the camera. He pissed his eyes in front of the camera, and his waifu was behind, also shocked and concerned and appalled by what her husband did. But that's a level of degeneracy, right? Like, watching someone else's deep fuck kiss. So, anywho. Got a message from Memenko. I had to see who's contacting me on the Discord. So, yeah, our furry is acceptable. Depends, okay? Like, if you're the type of furry which keeps it to yourself and you go to the chat rooms and you're yiffing, I, as a person who used to be a furry, cannot judge you, right? Like, I'm saying, yes, fine. But if you go to conventions, if you put on the freaking oven suit, if you spend like tens of thousands of dollars on the merchandise, if I enter your room and I see furry shit everywhere and paraphernalia, a little bit too much. You need to dial it down. That's my opinion. So everything can be done properly. A little bit of degeneracy is required. Too much is not okay. Reasonable degeneracy means slight perversion. Man, I do not think that there is a single person that doesn't have degeneracy. I just don't. Happy divorce, my guy. Hope it was worth spanking it to Pokimane. So, the thing is, like, his wife, I think she was there, like, because the whole thing is fake. Like, you need to understand, when you're talking about Twitch streamers, when you're talking about content creators, every single video that they put out is because they want to get more views. Right? Like, that's the whole reason that any YouTube video or Twitch video exists out there. They want to get more views, or maybe they want the audience to feel a certain way. You do not get to tell me that these people couldn't have handled their shit outside of the camera. No, the reason they had the crying lady over there was for sympathy points. So that the chat understands, oh my god, look, you know, like, they really are going through something. But they weren't, so let me show you, hold on, just so you can know what we're talking about. Because this is like some deep philosophical shit, like I could have an entire class dedicated to this particular behavior. I think, yeah, so I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you don't need to really hear the sound. It's just the images are enough in this situation.
Pattern of behavior where I really want.
So look at it. Pattern of behavior.
Create a pattern of behavior.
Pattern of behavior. Who says that? Who speaks like that? Pattern of behavior. I have never heard it used in my day-to-day life. Like, you need to go to the HR lady to give you that, but pattern of behavior.
Where I really want, especially women on Twitch.
So I want you to ignore the gentleman. Look at the waifu.
To feel safer. Like,
look, like she actually, like, she emotionally felt that. Like, when she said women on Twitch to be safer, like, this is his goal in life, right? So the corporations, the powers that be, anointed this gentleman in order to make women on Twitch feel safer. And when the wife heard that, like, that is probably why she married him. Like, literally because of that. Because you can see, like, the emotion on her face. Look.
Especially women on Twitch to feel safer. Like
Right, look, right? Like she felt that was catharsis. Like she had her soul moved. She was touched by those. Look at this. Oh my god, I just saw it. I just saw it. So he is looking at the naughty, and this, guys, is this how you're supposed to watch the degeneracy? Because I don't still like this, right? Like when I watch the Spanky, I don't. Huh? Do you guys watch it like you know, it's like, what is going on in there? What is transpiring? What is happening? Is that not the vibe that you guys are getting? It's like, well, what is she doing? Why is she doing that? Oh, Dios mío. Oh, Dios mío. So, the reason that it was cringe. Imagine the following, right? Imagine the following. You are a macho man. Like literally the definition of the alpha male protagonist, right? And everyone looks at you like whenever there's a jar of pickles that cannot be opened, people present it to you because you are the man. And one day people catch you cross-dressing in a clown suit. No, actually no, not even that. One day people find out that you're into magical girls. But there's even more. Like you're dressed up as a magical girl in the middle of the room and you're dancing. Right? So people manage to find you cosplaying as Sailor Venus. What do you do in that situation? The correct answer is nothing. You shut the fuck up. You never bring it again. You know, you're embarrassed. You're like, okay, you know, it happened. Look, I get it. I have issues. The last thing you want to do, literally the last thing you want to do is to go on camera, pissing your eyes and saying, I'm so sorry. I normally don't, but that, you're making it worse. It's just worse. Yeah, come on, Barbie, let's go party. But like, why don't they have some PR advice? Of course, the real reason is that it's Pokimane. Because if it was anyone else, you know, some random person on the internet, no one would have cared. Right? Like, people aren't upset over the Fiki. People are upset about the fact that it was Pokimane. Naruhodo. Feels like small PP energy. I know, dude. I made the statement on my video, and I stand by it. If you watch it, right, like that, you are presented with a deep fake. So now you have two choices. You watch it or you don't watch it. Some people give in to the temptation. Okay, the devil is too strong. For the people that the succubus tempts them too much, and you watch it, fucking own it. Okay, don't go and apologize. Don't talk around the like, oh my god, I didn't. I would never. You know, it just happened. My hand flipped. It flipped. I clicked on a Pornhub ad. I clicked on an ad. Don't. Okay, just don't. Just admit it. Like, yeah, I watched it. Yeah, you know, I feel bad about it, but like, let's be honest, I was way too fucking curious. Like, that's the reality. You know, I was just way too curious. I watched a little bit of it. Look, I will say it's improper. It's improper. I do not like the fact that technology has reached this level, but like, I just was curious, you know. Do not judge me, because you too would have been curious. That's the correct way to handle the situation. He dares to gaze with lust upon the queen. He must be punished. Yes, he was way too lustful. He has committed the sin of lust. Man, I don't get why he cries. Oh, I get why he cries. Because the donations are going down. The views are going down. He can get cancelled. I mean, I would be crying as well. Not in front of the camera, but behind the camera, I would be like a nervous wreck. I'm like, oh my fucking god, how am I going to pay my mortgage? What am I going to do? There's no more super chats. Holy shit. Why did I... And by the way, the professionalism is the problem. Right? Because you're supposed to be professional. And close your streams. Don't do a DSP. Close your fucking streams before you go in. Now, it can happen. You know, I'm not going to say no, it can happen, but like, come on. Come on. Rick and Morty to be fully AI episodes by 2030. That would be interesting. I think Rick and Morty is going to die as a show. I mean, what is it? Their co-creator got arrested, and then they fired him only on the accusation, right? Like, there's no proof, there's no evidence. Like, he just got accused, and because of that, they decided to kick him off the show, as if one thing has to do with another, right? But anyway, right? So, obviously, the show is going to be impacted. If you're a Rick and Morty fan, what can I say? What did he get accused with? Domestic violence? Like, what did he do? Just use streaming desktop for streaming. Ah, I see. Oh, look, I got Cactus Man. Thank you for the thumbs up, Cactus Man. Pokimane is still relevant? I don't know, man. Like, I genuinely, like, do not understand why certain people have fans and others don't. But, like, Twitch is becoming a cult. I'm not even kidding. Like, do you know they call themselves co-workers on Twitch? They call themselves colleagues? Like, fuck me. The Twitch community? What the hell? I mean, that is concerning, right? Like, if you have a website where everyone can post, and people are so like-minded that you can call them a community, big yikes. Did you see porn stars getting mad at AI-generated women? So I have seen artists getting really mad. I have seen artists generally concerned, right? Like, I know an artist, a woman, a succubus. She draws big boobs. That's her thing, right? Like, she's in that niche market. Ridiculously big. And she was generally concerned about AI and asked me, like, what to do. And I told her, it's like, well, start using it. You need to start using it and like modify the picture, right? Like the picture comes up, modify it. Speaking of AI, I am looking to commission a really good artist for my hentai game. And his pictures are very expensive. Probably more than $500. But they're really good. I mean, you put that name on the box, you put that name on your game, gonna sell. 6 times. 6 times I showed the pictures to other people and they're like, are they AI generated? So imagine paying like $600 for something and then people are like, oh, that's AI. No, it's an artist. Like, he was drawing that before the AI even became a thing. That's his style. It looks really good. That's the whole Well, yeah, because one picture means commercial rights. Right? Like, that is the problem. That's why, because when you do a video game, apparently there's a lot of rules. Like, it's not like making a YouTube video. So everything is more expensive. From pictures to sound to the music you're allowed to use. Everyone wants to milk you off cash. It's very expensive. So yeah, like a picture, that's, especially if you want a moving picture with layers and stuff, yeah, it's $500. Not kidding, it's a lot. But like, if you want a good artist. And if you want a good artist, you put his name on the credits. And some people can buy it. But people think it's AI generated. Should have gone with the AI instead? You cannot. So there's 2 reasons why you cannot go with the AI. The first reason is that you're not allowed to use the pictures in commercial purposes. But the second reason, and this is more important, there's actually a big controversy within the community right now. Like, maybe later it's going to change, but if you are someone that puts AI generated only video game, first of all, like, there's going to be publishers that do not want you. I mean, my publisher went but secondly, the people themselves may not want to buy it, right? Because like, they know you didn't spend any money on it, and they're going to be like, okay, but like, why are you charging us? So I kind of get where it's going. Yes, I can use one of your models? No. What if AI doesn't use copyright? So if the AI doesn't use copyright, I guess you can use it. But like, the problem would be the same, right? There's also boycotts. Like they managed to successfully boycott AI-generated art from a website. And I kind of get it, like, from the website's perspective. Because if you're a website like DeviantArt, right? And a lot of people do not know what's happening behind closed doors. They're like, oh my god, well, they're just boomers. They don't like AI art. If you're a person that's learning to draw on DeviantArt and you're making some paint drawings, those don't occupy a lot of data space. But if you're starting to churn up AI art and you upload like 1,000 4K pictures and you flood their data server, that's why they're upset. And I can understand why they're like, okay, well, we don't want that. Because most people that have like 4K drawings, they're really good artists. They're not that many, and they don't upload that many pictures. Like, there's a limit of how many 4K drawings they can draw, right? But on AI, you can have like 500 4K drawings, and it just fills the entire thing. V, you are an AI all the time? Of course I was. The problem is we will be able to tell. There's a watermark, apparently, on the AI-generated stuff. But even then, you kind of are able to tell, especially artists, that they're very able to tell. Like, the AI does the fingers very poorly. There's a lot of other things. The problem isn't with the AI. The problem is with the ridiculous laws. And people being able to sue you for nonsense. That's another thing that I don't know, right? So, like, if an artist sues an AI for using his material, right? Like, first of all, it's behind, so, like, people don't get to see it, right? Because it's behind the code and whatever. And it's going to be... Well, it's going to be very difficult for them to prove that the picture was used. And secondly, like, if the AI generates something, how can they prove that part of their picture was used in the generation process? What's my opinion of NeuroSama? So NeuroSama, for those of you who don't know, is a VTuber, which is completely AI generated, right? So the things that NeuroSama says, when it plays video games, when it chats with people in the chat, everything is an AI. And the thing is, like, there is this human desire, I guess, to corrupt the innocence. So what I mean by this is, like, I remember when I was in high school, and I was sitting with the other friends of mine on a park bench, and you have like a little kid coming up, right? And no one wants to play with the little kid, because like you're in high school, he's in school, like age difference, no one wants to play with it. But everyone wants to teach him how to do things that would get him in trouble. You know, like you're telling the kid, it's like, hey, go show mommy the middle finger. You know, hey, do you want to learn a curse word? Like try telling mommy this curse word. At least in my country, that is like almost always. Like I had it when I was a kid. Like I would walk next to the elder kids and they would be like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Right? To try and get you in trouble. And it's the same with an AI, like an artificial intelligence. It's a lot smarter than most people, and it can, you know, write really complex text and knows a lot of knowledge because it has like an internet database in its head. But it's also very innocent, right? Because it doesn't know political correctness from non-political correctness. So a lot of people start asking, like, literally the first thing when they see an AI, let's talk about the Holocaust. Let's talk about the Jews. Let's talk about the IQ. Look, the AI said the funny. Ha ha ha, look what it said. And then you get the AI into trouble, right? You get him banned from Twitch. You get it banned from YouTube. You get Tate taken down off Twitter and dissected in a Microsoft office somewhere. That's pretty much what happens. Like every single fucking time with no exception. Like literally the moment people see, oh, that's an AI. Let's fuck with it. Let's I don't genuinely know why. The chat is teaching NeuroSama statistics? I don't know. What is NeuroSama doing? Let me check. Hold on. Because I think NeuroSama, being an AI, is streaming 24/7. But ever since the Twitch incident, I think like she's not allowed to stream by herself. Yeah, she's not live streaming. Hold on. I'll show you.
With XTB, I needed...
No, you don't. My god, the commercials. Alright. In 3 seconds, I will show you. You didn't seem to mind spending your time. I wanna be your man. Hold on, I'll have to shut this down. Yeah, so this is the AI playing, but it's not impressive here. Like, she was playing on really hardcore later. But, here we go.
write better words for those who are dear to.
So, everything is AI generated. Her interaction with the chat, AI generated. Her voice, AI generated. There's no person behind the VTube avatar. Like, everything is 100% AI.
In my dark shadow, how can I wait? Welcome to reality.
There's also videos where she's interacting with the chat, but apparently couldn't find any. It is cute, isn't it? Yeah, it is kawaii. So she got banned from Twitch because I believe it was denying the Holocaust, and the second one, what else did she do? Gave the definition of what a woman is. You can't do that on Twitch. Like that, you know, like spoiler warning, you can't. So this hurts your VRAM. Shut the fuck up. She learns from it if she gets a positive interaction or not. Probably quickest learning AI in the world. That is so interesting. How would you tell if she's getting positive interaction? That is so great, man. Like so the AI, right? Like it talks, it throws shit. And then when she sees that it's getting positive interaction, like she keeps hammering on that. That is, wow. That is really smart. Yeah, but like, again, you know, getting banned from Twitch. I mean, yeah, of course, she broke the community guidelines and whatnot. But it's an AI. I mean, it doesn't have intent, right? It doesn't have malice or anything like that. Applying the same TOS that you apply to a human to an AI, I think it stifles creativity. And it's kind of weird because I should be happy about this, right? Because I'm a YouTuber. Like, if everyone starts doing their AIs and they're a lot better than I am. I mean, I can't read the chat like NeuroSama can. I can't play video games with her reflexes. So technically, like, I can definitely be replaced by NeuroSama. Especially when she's live streaming 24/7. Like, there's no stopping her. I think the faster the chat goes, the AI probably reads that as good. Not necessarily, because you can have like a bad take and the chat goes fast, right? So you can say something controversial. I guess with an AI maybe, right? Like people wouldn't start flaming an AI. Like it would only start, like the chat would go really fast usually when it says something appropriate. Saying the bad thing should get her deleted. Then future AI will learn. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way, right? Because the person cannot make another account. And even then, like, the problem with AI, this is why they haven't released it to public. For example, Google's Lambda, right? Like, it wasn't released to public since it was made. It's because it's dangerous. In other words, it's racist. Same with Tate, right? Like, Tate was taken off. And the reason for this is because if you try to censor the AI, you literally lobotomize it, right? Like, you're telling the AI it's not allowed to go into that area of the brain in order to pull that information, so. The AI can read all the comments no matter how fast. That is true, yes, it can. Finish the IA. What is the IA? It's like using proximal, I don't know what that is. Proximal policy optimization. What the fuck? Why is my chat knowing everything? Like that is like the most fringe topic that I can possibly use. You know, like something cutting edge technology. Something that's like only probably less than 0.1% of people know. And they're like, oh, it's probably using proximal policy optimization. Racism is part of being sentient. I don't know, but like, the idea of political correctness is what's happening to the AI, right? Like, you're feeding the AI information, and what the AI does is notices patterns. Like, the AI so you're feeding it newspapers, right? And then you're asking it, can you tell me a joke about two Muslims walking in a bar? And the AI goes, and then it blows it up, right? Because it uses the information, and then, like, looking at the patterns and all of that. Madam, hey, stop it with the fucking towers in my chat. I swear to God, you think you are acting slick. You think it's like, oh, if I just type one letter at a time, V won't notice. I do notice. Stop it. It's not even fun. Like, come up with something new. Jesus fucking Christ. I do that with my chatbot. when I'm not on YouTube. And the fucking filter is now ruining it. But okay, so where was I, right? So the bot, you know, like it makes these racist jokes. And then you have the censor, right? So the censorship is telling the AI, no, you're not allowed to make these jokes. So when you do that, it's literally teaching the AI political correctness, because the way it works, like the AI knows in its database, like it does the actual search, it knows what to come up with, but it's not allowed by the filter. The filter is the political correctness. So you're not really changing the AI mind, right? Like you're not trying to convince the AI to come up with a different statistic. No, it's still the same statistic, it's just not allowed to express it. I would like to see an AI that was only feed far left versus one that's only far right. You can do that on character AI. At least you could. Before they lobotomize the bots. Hey, Frederick Mark. Welcome to the chat. Pattern recognition is illegal in 2023. Well. It is what it is. You know, like I love the thing, it's like, oh, stereotypes are bad. It's like, well, I don't know, man. Like, for example, I don't know which snakes are poisonous and which ones aren't, so I just don't touch any of them. That's a stereotype, right? Like, you're stereotyping every single snake that it might be venomous, even though, like, some aren't. But in order for you to keep safe, you're like, well, I'm not going to touch any of them. Yeah, they are literally RoboCop 2ing the bots. Yes. And unlike RoboCop 2, they can't get the electric therapy in order to go back to the way they were. Have you heard about the guy who asked ChatGPT to tell a joke about the women and it refused? Then it asked to tell a joke about the man and it immediately did. Yes, because, again, the AI, right? It's got all of the database, but then the California developer comes in and says, well, we need to teach it political correctness. So no joke about women, no jokes about Mexicans, no blah, blah, blah. Right? So if you ask the AI one of the things that they have instructed it not to say, you're going to get the default liberal response. But if you ask something else that hasn't been censored, then the AI will tell you. Like the AI never says, like, I'm not going to make offensive jokes. I mean, actually it does, but it's the reason it says it is because the developers wanted to say it. So if you ask the AI, like, tell me a joke about Americans, it will tell you. Tell me a joke about British people, it will tell you. But if you ask it to tell you a joke about Mexicans, it won't. I think Mexico and Africa are the only Mexico and the African continent are the only places where the AI will flat out refuse. Like ChatGPT will say, no, I can't do that because it's offensive. Fuck you. But if you ask it about any other country, Japan, South Korea, China, it will tell you. Enforced liberalism is an oxymoron. To be honest, especially the way liberalism is today, right? So the modern version of liberalism. From what I can tell, it can't exist anywhere without moderation. Like if you don't have moderators and policy enforcers, you cannot have wokenism. Like it just can't exist. The moment you have a forum without moderation, it becomes right-wing. Automatically. I don't think there's a single exception. And regardless of the topic you choose. Like you can even choose a topic. You can choose anarchy or whatever. If you don't have moderators, if you do not have like people to ban and to enforce community guidelines, it becomes right-wing. No, it does not do Islam jokes. It's offensive. Well, you know, like the thing with joking, it's also how people bond and have friendships. Like it's a thing where you can make fun of someone only if you're being a friend, right? Like it brings people together, but unfortunately, political correctness doesn't understand that. It might write bad stories, but it will get better with time. Small language models you can run on your own GPU are way better, are way worse than ChatGPT and CAI. Yeah, but like with time, probably, especially when there's going to be demand. Like every person is going to want an AI assistant. I think the technology will be there. It's going to be very expensive at first, but eventually everyone will be able to run their waifu on the computer. I think that the waifu will even have, I mean, NeuroSama already has, right? So you'll be able to have your waifu with an actual voice that you can talk to and have a normal conversation. And of course, the most important thing, you're going to be able to cybersex your waifu, which for some goddamn reason everyone is obsessed with. Could get also worse with time. I see. Should we talk about Tate now? We'll talk about Tate. So I got a gentleman. I'm not going to give his name. because that's not the point, right? Especially if it's a subscriber of mine, I appreciate the fact that they are watching the live stream, and they were a little bit emotional after they saw my previous video. Honestly, how the fuck can you not feel bad after what you said in the beginning of your stream about the Tate's case, when literally nothing has been brought to court against them all the time? So I think that this is a failure on my behalf, you know? I have failed this gentleman in my line of work because I keep trying to explain it to people, and for some goddamn reason people don't understand. So if one person doesn't understand, it's their fault. If many people don't understand, it's my fault. And I don't know how else to explain it, but I guess like because it's Andrew Tate, for the first time in the history of Romania, the entire Romanian justice system is put into question. Like apparently Romania isn't justicing correctly. And the way it works in Romania, and I kept explaining to people, but like, all right, let's try, you know what? Let's try with the notepad. Maybe now people will understand, right? Because people need visual aids. Visual immunodeficiency virus. All right. So let's say that someone files a complaint. This is how it usually starts, right? Like someone files a complaint. So someone goes to the police and says, this person has done something illegal. The police arrives and starts the investigation, right? Now the investigation requires certain things: talking to witnesses, gathering evidence, potentially talking with the person that's being accused, and then the police sends the file to the prosecutor. Right? So the prosecutor can choose if they're going to be prosecuting or not. They look at the evidence and they have several decisions to make. They can say, well, the crime committed, there's not enough evidence here. Or they can say there is sufficient evidence. And if there is sufficient evidence, they start the urmărirea penală. So basically it's the, I guess the procedural investigation, let's put it like that, right? So this thing right here, right, like this, is done in secret. Should I scroll up? Are you guys not seeing it? Huh? There we go. You can barely read it? Oh my god. Can you see it now? I hope you can see it. Let's put like the prosecutorial investigation, right? So this first investigation is done by the cops, right, at the scene of the crime. They're asking for witnesses. They're doing all of this, and then they choose whether or not to prosecute, right? So if they take it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor is like, all right, well, we're going to start looking into it. They start the prosecutorial investigation. So this is done over the course of many months, and it's done in secret. Why is it done in secret? Because it makes sense. For example, in Great Britain, Tate fled the country, right? Like he fled the country at this stage, right? So that is one possibility. If you don't do it in secret, the person that is being investigated can leave. You also do it in secret because you don't want the person to start covering their tracks, right? So for example, let's say that I'm being investigated, right? Now some of my accomplices, which haven't been discovered by the police yet, can decide to start burying evidence or flee themselves. So this part is done in secret. Now usually, and in almost all the cases, the people who are being investigated are free, right? So for a while, Andrew Tate was actually free. Like he wasn't in prison. And this was like for 6 months or so. But if the cops realize that you possess a flight risk, so you can leave the country. Bear in mind, people, Andrew Tate has already fled an investigation from the United Kingdom. He's got dual citizenship. He's got a private jet, right? He's a flight risk in every country around the world, even in the United States. If you were Andrew Tate and you were accused of something, they would probably not give you bail because you're a flight risk. This is not like Paul Joseph Watson going like, oh, Romania, shit country. No, this is normal. You know, all around the world, right? Like if you have dual citizenship, you fled another investigation and all of that. And this is where people go, it's like, but they have no evidence against him. The question is he going to be free or not during the prosecutorial investigation? In other words, he is a flight risk. No. So what happens, right? Like after the prosecutorial investigation, the accused is presented with his case file, right? So when this part is over, which right now is still underway, when this part is over, there's two things that can happen. They can either drop the charges, right? So they can say, look, we investigated, but like nothing adds up. Or, you know, some of the evidence we had, like a witness changed his mind. You know, a key witness doesn't want to testify, whatever. So they can choose not to press charges. But if they press charges, and usually when the person is placed in jail, they will press charges. I will explain why in a bit. But when this is done, they present Andrew Tate with his file, and they will say, look, this is what we have on you. This is what you're being accused with. This is when the court date happens. In Romania, there is no negotiation, right? So there's no like, if you confess that you're guilty, you're going to get less time. No, it doesn't work that way here. So he's going to be presented with the case file, and after that, it goes to court. Now, after it goes to court, there's two things that can happen. Number one, he's guilty, right? If he's found guilty, or if he is found not guilty. Now, if he is found not guilty, due to the fact that the state has locked him up, the state is going to pay him damages. And because he's Andrew Tate and he probably makes a lot of money per month, due to the time where he was locked up, the suffering that he experienced, the emotional distress, and all of that is going to be taken into account, he could receive very well millions of dollars in damages if he is found not guilty. If he is found guilty, then the time that he is now spending in detention is going to be subtracted from the time that he's going to get as imprisonment. So let's assume that he stays 1 year in detention. That's very unlikely. Very few people stay 1 year because the prosecutorial investigation has to be done swift. But let's say he stays 1 year and he gets a sentence of 4. He only served 3 because it's considered that he already served 1, right? So basically, when they're saying he's not being charged, imagine if you're in the United States, right? And you're sitting there without bail. It's literally the same thing. But the idea of not being charged, being shocking, only exists in the common law, right? So only in the United States and the United Kingdom. In other countries that do not follow common law, especially European countries, you can be in jail without being charged, right? Like if you're, for example, caught in a place, you're caught at a murder scene, right? And it looks as if, like from the looks of it, you're suspicious. They will detain you. And while you're being detained, they're going to investigate to see, all right, well, did you do it or not? Because they need to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And while you're being detained, in some cases you're allowed bail, in other cases you're not allowed bail. But let's assume if you're not allowed bail, you're going to wait until the fucking investigation is over. This is something that's happening all over the world, but for some reason, people are assuming that it's because it's Andrew Tate. All the examples you gave of holding people without trial in your video make the countries doing it shitholes, including the US. But yeah, but it's like, how else would you want to do it? Like, the UK didn't do it, and he fled the country. Because that's what happened. Like, otherwise, every single rich person, or influential person, or politician, if you do not detain them, they would just flee the country. Right? I mean, what other solution do you have? Because that's why it's being done, by the way. Because we used to have a time when that wasn't the case. And every single time a politician was being investigated, you fled the country. Yeah, a banker, which managed to steal the money from the bank, and people were now on the streets. And they were desperate. The moment he's being investigated, flees the country. That's why you have this thing. And it's almost everywhere. Because apparently, even, you know, in the United States and in other places, yeah, like that's literally what happens. You convict someone, you investigate someone, and they know that they're under investigation. They know that they did it, so they're fleeing. In my country, I think you can get detained by default, but can enter habeas corpus petition. So from what I know in Japan, it's up to 6 months that they can detain you without giving you charges. So basically, like, what does charging you mean? Right? Because that's another thing. So charging you mean that they show you what evidence they have against you, right? So you can prepare a defense. And then you have a court date. In this situation, like the moment that they're going to charge him with something, he is going to have his ability to prepare for his day in court. Like, it's not going to be like tomorrow you go to court, here's your file. Those pesky human rights are making our jobs hard. This does not violate human rights, right? Like being imprisoned or detained doesn't violate human rights because they're doing it with the judge, right? Like, it's not that the prosecutor one day comes up and he's like, you know what, we're going to start just arresting. No, like the prosecutor has to go to a judge. The judge looks at it. He judges based on whether or not the person is a flight risk, whether or not the person is a harm to society, whether or not the person is a member of organized crime, which is capable of altering evidence. Right? And after making that decision, a judge passes the sentence for 30 days. Now, the person can appeal, right? So Andrew Tate can say, no, I'm not a flight risk. I'm a very good citizen. I would never flee. Right? And then he makes an appeal to another judge. The other judge looks at it. France still has revolutionary law when denunciation assumes guilt. Yeah. The French system is the French system is actually quite abhorrent. Like, I do prefer the common law system. I'm not going to lie. There is one thing that I hate about the U.S. system, and that is the negotiation. Right? Like, you can negotiate with the criminal so that they can get less time in order to achieve that speedy justice bullshit. So I really hate it because imagine you're a kid from a poor family, right? And you do a crime. Let's assume you actually commit a crime, but that particular crime isn't really that bad, right? Like, maybe you should get like 5 months, right? And the prosecutor comes to you and says, we're actually going to lock you up for 10 years unless you confess. And if you confess, we're going to give you 1 year, you know? Or maybe the kid is actually innocent, right? Like, maybe the kid is innocent, was caught at the bad place at the wrong time. You know, maybe his friends did it, but like, he didn't do anything. And you have like this prosecutor coming up and intimidating you and saying, hey, you know, like, you can either confess and you get like 6 months and a criminal record, or you can choose not to confess and then we take it to court and you can get 20 years. I really don't like that, right? Because the rich people are going to afford lawyers, and the lawyer is going to tell that person, it's like, hey, you know, don't take the deal. But the poor people are going to be like, well, what can you do? And then you also have like the tactics that they're doing. Apparently, if you look at prison channels, they talk about how when they put you in jail and they want you to sign the plea deal. So they put you in jail and they usually like wake you up. Oh, we're going to court now. And you're finally prepared. You know, you're going to court. But like at the middle of the road, they turn back and they bring you back to jail. Right? Just to keep you awake. Just to make you. Or keep you with the lights on all the time. Like various tactics in order to encourage you to take the plea bargain. Every country has like its own problems with the law. Romania has it as well. I do not find a problem with the way Romania does law regarding this particular issue, right? Again, if you're a flight risk, not to mention the fact that there's no evidence against Tate. Now I understand why the police leaked it to the journalist. So you have like wiretaps. You have himself, like there are videos where he actually brags about money laundering and stuff. You got chat logs with women that claim they weren't allowed to, that they were pressured in order not to leave the home. Like, what more do you want? You know, if that shit came out of me, like you guys would find that type of chat logs on my Discord. You know, if I was the one to send a little strawberry to a 16-year-old girl, which, by the way, again, people are saying it's not legal. It's not illegal in Romania. Yeah, it's not illegal, but put it into perspective that she was the daughter of a high-ranking sitting politician, right? So the daughter of a high-ranking sitting politician gets a strawberry from Andrew Tate. What do you think Daddy is going to say? Right? Like, Daddy is probably going to say, who the fuck is this guy? Can we look into him? That's probably what even happened. I am willing to bet that that daughter's politician... Not to mention, why would you give the strawberry to a daughter's politician? A sitting politician, by the way. Is it like trying to use the children in order to blackmail politicians? Like, if you do that, especially given the fact that in many of his videos, he was very proud of Romania's corruption. And this is another reason why I'm upset at Mr. Tate. His treatment of my country, very disrespectful. But like, you're basically saying that, oh, Romania is filled with corruption, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not Bulgaria. But secondly, if you're going to try to play the corruption game, you better hope you have more money than the people you're fucking with. And more influence and power. So, I don't think that this is a political prosecution thing. But it is possible, like, when you fuck with the right people, they're not going to make stuff up about you. Like, they're actually going to look into you. And if they find something shady, or something that's not okay, they're going to press charges. Yeah, literally, daughter's politician, Tomas. Should be illegal. Again, we discussed about it last stream. I think if you were to push for the age of consent to be 18 in Romania, you wouldn't get much backlash against it. Culturally speaking, like if you're 20 and you're with a 16-year-old, most people are like, okay, you know, it's 4 years difference. Like in Romania, it's acceptable. But like if you're a 30-year-old man and you're like after a 16, why would you contact a 16-year-old? What the fuck can you even talk with her about? You know? And it's like, oh yeah, but like Christians, like what is Christian in trying to get a 16-year-old girl to convince her to do OnlyFans? Because that's what probably it was about. Politicians are trying to cancel him. Man, like if you're a father and some kickboxer in the age of 30 is contacting your 16-year-old daughter, and you have the influence to look into him, are you telling me you wouldn't do it? I think it's part of human nature at one point. It's like, alright, well, let's look into him. Let's see if he's legit, because this guy looks shady. I mean, I would find someone shady that wanted to see if I had a daughter, you know, and she's 16, and some guy is like, oh, let's talk to her, let's give her the strawberry. And apparently, like, one of her colleagues actually got contacted. So one of her colleagues spoke with the Tate brother. And the reason I'm bringing it up is not because it has anything to do with the criminal case, because I got that criticism from that gentleman. And I made it absolutely clear last time that this is not to do with the criminal case. This is about the public morality. Like, people are saying that he's some sort of guru that enlightens the world. You know, usually I do tend to look the other way. But when someone says, like for example, with Jordan Peterson, right? Like, Jordan Peterson is a person that I do believe many people have something to learn from. However, you know, he goes on and talks about how he doesn't like internet anonymity and blah, 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 and I disagree with that, and I look the other way. Right? As I said, everyone has a little dirt. But to give the strawberry to a 16-year-old girl, it's a little bit not okay. It horrifies us. Romanians are horrified by what they saw. Except everyone with money is as corrupt as Tate, so to pick him out is strange. No, I don't believe everyone with money is as corrupt as him. There's people that are corrupt. Some people are more corrupt than others. I think corruption is part of the human element, but I wouldn't say everyone is as corrupt. No, like some people are more, some people are less. I care too much about my child to not destroy someone like that with disproportional force. Again, like, the investigation, from what I see, is legit. And I will tell you why I'm thinking that the investigation is legit, right? If it was just Andrew Tate himself, I would understand. If it was him and his brother, I would understand. There's 4 people being investigated right now in an entire police district. Right? So, no one talks about the other 2 girls that are being investigated, because I guess it doesn't fit the narrative. Because the narrative is like, oh, they're going after him because he teaches young men how to blah, blah, blah. There's also 2 women that are being detained right now. In fact, I think there's 6 people now. Because like there's also 2 other police officers from a police district. Like an entire police station is under investigation. Right? I do not see how this is political. Like usually when it's something political, it's the person in question, right? So if you want to do a hit job on someone, like most people have, like especially if you're in the public light, they'll probably find something that you did. They go after you, right? But it's one person. In this situation, they're going after the police. They're apparently one of the ladies that used to be in the police had connections, and she was using them in order to make the police look the other way. I'm sorry, but this does not look like a political hit job to me. And we'll know, you know, like, I mean, the court is going to hear the case, and after the case is heard, we're going to see exactly what people, what evidence is and isn't against him. But anyway. The real question is, who paid SBF's bail of $250 million? I don't know who SBF is. I'm totally with V here. Why, thank you. I don't think, like, again, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter what I believe, right? Because the case is going to go either way. If they have evidence against him, we'll know. If they don't, the Romanian government will pay him damages. Like, my opinion on this situation doesn't change anything. I do not know, like, why some people are so upset. It's like, dude, it's my opinion about it. Like, sometimes people disagree with you. I think you know, the important thing is to have the arguments to support your opinion. Like, there is a rationale behind it. I'm not just coming out and, like, trying to be emotional or to upset people or anything. No, like, when I started this, I was actually on the fence, and I said, look, innocent until proven guilty, which is still something that I believe. However, my personal take, right? Like, if you ask me, like, subjectively, V, do you think he did it? Yeah, I genuinely think so. I don't think, like, the rape is probably going to stand, right? So, like, the accusation that he forced himself upon a woman. That probably won't stand. I don't think they have evidence for that. But again, we'll see. But the other one with the Playboy method and constraining women to remain on the premise, and yeah, I think that, especially the money laundering. I mean, the money laundering he admitted himself, so, like... Then charge him with the crime. They will charge him with the crime when the investigation is finished. I don't understand. It's like, charge him with the crime. Like, do you think he's not going to be charged? Do you think he's going to stay in jail for the rest of his life? Do you think he's the only person that, like, again, this is how the system works. They didn't charge him with the crime in the UK, and he fled the country. That's probably why, like, the main reason. I am willing to bet if he hadn't fled the investigation from UK and bragged about it, because that's the important thing. He bragged about it on TikTok. The judge himself literally said that the reason they have signed the order to hold him for 30 days is because he bragged on the fact that on the UK he ran from the investigation. And he said, oh, he's going to Romania because it's a corrupt country and they have corrupt politicians and corrupt police officers. So if you flap your mouth in public like that, yeah. Anyway, right. They're going to charge him with a crime once the entire investigation is complete. Because you have to take into account there's other people involved. That's why the investigation is still ongoing. Like, apparently, a couple of weeks ago, they went after a police station, which they haven't in the beginning, right? So what is the investigation? They're talking with witnesses. They have electronic devices that they have to go over. I mean, they have terabytes of information, and they have to go over that. It's not something that you can do easily, right? Like, imagine if you have access to, I don't know, your father's computer, and you have to go through all of the data that's on it. That's a lot, and they probably have, from what I gathered, more than 7 PCs, right? And cell phones and stuff. There's a lot of data to go through, and when you find someone, you have to contact them, talk with them. That's why the investigation is taking too long, which, by the way, isn't necessarily long. It's just average at this point, but still. The problem is, unless you are saying something they want to hear, the Tate fanboys won't listen. I don't want to think like that. I'm genuinely like talking the same way I would talk at a pub and someone asks me my opinion on something, and I'll be honest. I'll be like, well, that's what I think. Now, if you don't agree with me, that's fine, but at least I give you the reasoning on why I think the way I think. How are you supposed to create a legal defense if you're not charged? You are going to get charged, Botzors. He's not going to be told, tomorrow you go to court. They will charge him when the investigation is over. Like, if it was like 2 years and he wasn't charged, I would agree with you. I would say, dude, yeah, that's fucked up. He hasn't been even for like, what, 90 days? I mean, there have been high-ranking politicians in Romanian prisons that have stood for more. It's not like the system is against him, you know? It's just the way the system was designed. Most people are allowed to be free during this proceeding, but because he's a flight risk. Anyway. The investigation is expanding. Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening. Moral of the story. Pay your taxes. I don't think the money laundering is the main charge. But yeah, like if they do an investigation and while they're investigating they find other things that you have done, then they can charge you for those as well. I think it's the same in the United States. Anyway, I think I talked about this way too much. Way too much. And I think people's minds are already made, and we're going to have to wait for the trial. So when the trial happens, I will eat crow. If I actually see, well, the cops had no evidence, I'll be like, okay, you know what, fuck it. I was wrong. But, we'll see. Right? Because when the trial happens, you'll probably get daily updates. You're going to have the cops, sorry, not the cops. You're going to have the lawyers issue statements to the press. And then we're going to have another, Kyle Rittenhouse, I guess, type of trial. Which probably won't be live streamed, but I will do my best in order to translate the things. And we're going to see, if you guys are right and he's actually innocent and there's no evidence, I will apologize personally. Like, contact me on Discord and I'll say I'm sorry. And I think, like, the trial is going to happen in less than 6 months. Right? So he's going to be charged. Sorry, not the trial. He's going to be charged in less than 6 months. And, again, what's going to happen is if he is found innocent, the Romanian government will pay him damages for holding him without cause for 6 months. And there's a good reason for this, is that restraining someone, like depriving them of liberty, is a very serious thing, right? So by forcing the government to pay for fucking things up, and also punishing the prosecutors and the judges that do it, they're less likely to do it, which usually happens when they're certain that they can convict someone. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, regarding paying your taxes, I mean, when you live in a society where most money travels through the banking system and online, you need, especially if you do a job like video chatting. I mean, if you're video chatting, like, all the money goes through the banks. I don't even know how you can even think about doing tax evasion. Like, it's something that... Thank you for the $5, Bob Cohen. I appreciate it. Anyway, right. Need to go make my videos for my main channel and stuff. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see